close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarron of the Southern Star and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On today's show we'll be chatting to Aston Villa and Ireland midfielder Conor Hourihane, who very kindly invited us into his home in Bandon last week for a look back on what has been a career best season.
We'll also hear from West Cork ladies football manager Brian McCarthy ahead of their seasonal opener this Thursday night, and there's also the small matter of the round 4 qualifier draw to discuss as well.
But Kieran, let's not bury the lead any further. Our listeners probably didn't tune in to hear us waffling on, so let's hear from the man of the moment, Bandon's Conor Hourihane.
We're delighted to be joined on the Star Sport Podcast this week by Conor Hourihane. First off, Conor, congrats on becoming West Cork's first ever Premier League player. A man who's gone from the town park here in Bandon to the Premier League. It's an incredible rise. Has it sunk in yet that you will be a Premier League footballer?
I suppose it has a little bit now the weeks have passed. It took a couple of weeks to kind of for it to sink in. Little bits, that have happened over the last couple of weeks make me think, oh, this is actually kind of real. Different conversations with people. The fixtures coming out was a big one. Seeing a complete new set of teams. To look out for. We had the international games as well, so that we went straight from playoff final into that. So it took, there was concentration on that. So, but now since the internationals have done, and like I said, the fixtures have come out. It's starting to sink in a little bit now.
Where were you that Thursday morning when the fixtures came out?
I was on holidays with my partner and my daughter. It was one of them kind of moments where you're looking out for the big teams, of course, and. That was a kind of a moment as well where I kind of, like I said, it sunk in a little bit.
What was the standout fixture for you? So what's the one that you went for straight away?
Probably the two Manchester clubs, obviously. Manchester City, obviously, with them being champions and how they play, and Man United, because I used to follow them growing up and I still do now. So they were the kind of two teams that kind of I was looking for on the fixture list, yeah. And
of course you'll have a Midlands derby this year against Wolves as well. Yeah. That'll be one that the fans will be looking forward to over.
Definitely, yeah. That will be a big one. The fans love a derby. Obviously, the big one, the kind of the Birmingham games now are going to be gone for this year at least. So it's nice to have another derby, of course, because they're always good occasions.
What excites you most about getting a chance to play in the Premier League?
I think just a case of showcasing yourself against one of the best players in the world, the best league in the world. It's always something that I've wanted to do throughout my career. I've made no secret of that. I've worked so hard to try and get there, and it's a case of not just enjoying it, trying to make an impact at that level as well, and really testing myself to see where I'm at.
Who are some of the midfielders so at the top clubs, or even in general in the Premier League, that you're looking forward to kind of hitting your wits against?
Listen, all of the top teams, your Spurs and your Cities and your Liverpools and Uniteds, and just to see what they're all about. Obviously, I've been fortunate enough to play against a lot of good players international level, really. That's where I've kind of came across the top players so far, but to play against the kind of players weekly now would be a great test and one I'm really, really looking forward to.
You mentioned Spurs there, and obviously Villa are kicking off the Premier League, I think, away to Spurs in early August, like kind of Champions League finalists this year, top team. Mm-hmm. How much are you looking forward to that? Like, that's a great game to start the season. That's going to whet the appetite.
Yeah, fantastic. A great game to start off with, to see what they're about, and their new stadium and all that kind of stuff. So Allison will be fantastic. That was a great game to start off with. It's not going to be easy, of course, but one that myself personally is definitely really looking forward to.
How much of a challenge will this be for you? Because like your story is well documented, Conor. Kind of you dropped down the leagues to work your way back up, and now you've reached the top, the pinnacle. Kind of how much of a challenge is it for you now, and how much are you looking forward to kind of to prove that you are a Premier League player and you do deserve to be up there?
Yeah, it'll be a huge challenge. I'm not going into the season, naive, knowing that it's going to be easy. It's going to be really tough. There'll be some really tough games that probably that the games will fly by and other teams will dominate the ball against us or whatever. But I'm really looking forward to getting back and really kind of testing myself at the top. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I really want to kind of grab the opportunity again with both hands, like I've done it at all the levels, and really kind of make the most of it.
You kind of said there, like, you kind of, whatever the level is, whatever the challenges over the years, whether it was Plymouth, Barnsley, Villa, you've always raised your game to the next level. Is that something you feel you have to do again now for the Premier League? You have to take it on even more?
Yeah, definitely, without doubt. You know, Championship to the Premiership is going to be a big leap. You know, I've always had that self-confidence and self-belief in myself that I'll be able to play at the levels already that I've played at. And going to the Premier League will be no different. I'll be going there thinking I'll be able to do it. You know, I'll work hard like I have over the years, and I'm sure I'll be alright.
Looking at the journey you've taken over these years, since you left Bandon as a 16-year-old back in, what is it now, 12, 13 years ago?
Something like that, yeah. It's a long time, yeah.
Like, the journey you've been on has been absolutely incredible. Like, so does it mean even more to you now, the fact that you've got to where you want to get to? You've always wanted to get to the Premier League. You've worked hard to get there. Does it mean a lot to you that you've had to work really, really hard?
Yeah, listen, I've come, you know, there's been some highs and lows, probably, you know, more lows than highs along the way, and you have to cherish the highs when they come along. But it's not about just kind of taking part in the Premier League. I really want to try and make an impact. You know, it's something that I've always wanted to do, something that I'm confident I'll be able to do, and you know, hopefully it will go okay for me over the course of the year.
A number of years ago we were talking, something you said kind of struck a chord that it made so much sense. When you went to Plymouth that time, you went because you wanted to play games. You were 2021. You wanted to get games under your belt, and you did.
Yeah.
It's very important for young players to get the chance to play, even if it means dropping down a level or two. But get games, get experience, and help develop, and then you can move up.
Yeah, listen, that's what it's all about. I think everyone kind of knows, it's been well documented a lot of time that the reserve football is probably not up to it. You know, for lads to break through. Yeah, it's important for lads to go out and get games. So, you know, it's not easy. People think, you know, I think young lads should drop down, but you know, there's an awful amount of young lads fighting for places to get into a lower league team, and then when you get there, you've got lads that, you know, are don't want to keep their own places or whatever, you know what I mean. So yeah, it is important for lads. Listen, for me, I just got a lucky break. I had to grab the opportunity. Like I said, sometimes in life, you know, you always get an opportunity, and that was a big one for me, and I had to take it at the time.
What's the goal on target for Aston Villa this year? Is it about consolidation, or are you looking to really make an impact? Or
no, listen, I think you know, it's a big football club. There'll be big expectations from the fans and all that, you know. But we can't go into the season thinking, you know, we're going to finish in the top 10 or anything like that. You know, it's going to be a tough season. If we stay up, that would be the ultimate goal, of course. You know, getting a kind of a solid season under the belt, and maybe kicking on next year. But first and foremost, you know, we have to earn the right to stay in the league, and you know, we're all looking forward to the challenge.
When you went to Villa first day, did you realise how big a club it was? Even here in West Cork, we ran a piece in the Star that time, and that was kind of a call out to the local Villa fans. And I was inundated, like even the new Chris O'Sullivan, I think he's the new county mayor or something. He's an Aston Villa fan. There was loads of them. Were you surprised yourself, or did you know how big the club is?
No, I probably didn't know, to be honest with you. You know, over the course of my couple of years at the club so far, I didn't realise how big it was. I knew it was big. I knew there was a big support and history behind the club, but there's an awful lot of you know, Irish Villa fans. And the more kind of success the club's having, the more kind of, you know, you're aware of more and more kind of coming out and saying, oh, I'm a Villa fan or whatever, you know. But no, I probably wasn't aware how big the club was, but you know, like you said, whatever club I've been at, whatever level I've played at, I've always seemed to thrive in it, and I think that's a good thing to have in my locker. Like,
your initial feelings, so after the playoff final at Wembley, just after beating Derby, what did that feel like, to kind of think, Jesus, we've done it?
Yeah, it was obviously, listen, a huge, you know, emotional, fantastic feeling, but it was probably a relief, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I'd lost the playoff final the year before. Was desperate not to lose, you know, back-to-back playoff finals. That would have hurt, you know, definitely. One was bad enough, two would have been pretty tough to take. So to get over the line the second time, it was, for me anyway, personally, it was more relief, you know, that we've done it. And then, you know, as the days went by, then, you know, it was a case of real enjoyment and satisfaction that, you know, we got over the line.
Like, you've had a hell of a last couple of months, not only with Villa, but turning our attention to Ireland for a second. Like, you've really found your feet there at international level. How different is it under Mick McCarthy compared to the previous management? Yeah,
listen, they're different. You know, Mick's a great manager with players. You know, the lads love him. There's a great feeling around the camp. You know, Terry Connor, his assistant, is fantastic as well. You know, day to day kind of on the field tactics and that. So, you know, like I said, there's just a great feel factor. The lads are delighted to, you know, to have the mood in the camp. results obviously bring that as well. Good performances bring that kind of feel good factor as well. And at the minute, we're going along nicely. Obviously, listen, the games that we've played, we've probably expected to win. The Denmark point was obviously fantastic, but there's tough games around the corner.
Mick said he tried to sign you before as a player. Did that ring a bell when he was talking about that? Can you remember him?
I actually didn't know that, to be honest with you. I think he was at Ipswich at the time, and I went for Barnsley or something like that. I think maybe it was. I didn't know that, like I said, but that's always nice when a manager kind of says that, because he must see something good in you.
You've had to be patient, I suppose, to get your chance with Ireland, but you have taken it. There was that man of the match performance away to Gibraltar, then that free kick at home to Georgia, the winning free kick. Talk me through that, what it was like to see first when you were lining up, and then to see the ball go exactly where you wanted to be, hear the crowd erupt, and just that feeling. Yeah,
it was an amazing feeling. It's always been a target of mine to play for Ireland, kind of cement myself in the team, score for Ireland. That's another kind of couple of boxes ticked off. It was amazing. It was a dream come true, of course. Huge satisfaction with achieving that kind of goal of scoring a goal for Ireland, a winning goal as well, which was great. It was a fantastic moment, and one I look back on definitely with great pride.
What's it like when the ball goes exactly where you want it to go?
No, it's fantastic. A lot of the times it doesn't, but it was one of them. For some reason I had that feeling that I was just going to go in, and this was kind of my moment. Like I go back to all the time. That was another opportunity to kind of showcase myself, and delighted that I was able to grab it.
Like you said, there are good results so far, top of the group. Tough games coming up though, kind of home to Switzerland, away to Georgia, and away to Switzerland in the next 3 games. Ireland are in a good position at the moment, but what do you make of the challenge coming up?
Listen, it's going to be hugely tough. I think the table lies a little bit at the minute, because obviously we've played more games than the rest. Listen, it's great to have the points on the board, of course. I prefer to be in our position than not having the points, because obviously other teams can slip up. We've had some good performances, good results. But like you said, we know that there's tough games around the corner. Switzerland in the next kind of international break will be a tough game, but it's at home to in front of the Irish crowd, and they'll get behind us, and hopefully we'll put in a good performance and hopefully get a good result.
Have you felt this kind of new found wave of optimism kind of surrounding the Irish team at the moment? I think especially the game against Denmark, you tried to play football, you were keeping the ball on the deck, especially the first 20 minutes. You were good passing there, good movements, you were creating chances, kind of with the greatest respect to the previous management. We probably didn't see that enough. But can you feel that there's just that renewed optimism around the team, that the fans are really starting to get behind?
Yeah, definitely. I think the fans are seeing at least that we're trying to play in the right way. We'll have our bad moments in games. Everyone does. The lads feel like they're playing with a little bit of freedom, and we're pressing teams high and trying to win the ball back. There's no kind of 11 men behind the ball and kind of sit back and soak it up. We're having a bit of a go, and I think the fans appreciate that. And like I said, when you get kind of results from playing in that kind of way, that breeds confidence to the lads, definitely.
Before we let you go, I have to ask you, how much are you looking forward to pre-season?
Not very much so. It's a tough month or so going into the league, but listen, I'm going back heading into the Premiership, which I'm hugely excited for, and one that I'll definitely be ready.
How hard is pre-season? We hear these horror stories. Is it as hard as people say?
No, listen, it's tough. It's definitely tough. I think the first week to 2 weeks are definitely the toughest, and when you get over the first kind of week to 2 weeks, the games start coming in, and you get minutes under your belt, and it kind of eases down then to kind of a normal kind of routine a little bit, because games obviously is your fitness. The first week is tough, definitely. You're getting your base fitness, and there's a lot of running and stuff. But the horror stories, like you said, of running until you're sick and all that, them days are gone. It's so technical now, it's so monitored and all that. Sports science is top drawer, so it's tough, but them kind of horror stories are kind of gone.
Finally, it was great to be home in Bandon for a couple of days. How has life changed from the Conor that left Bandon all those years ago to the Conor who's home now? Kind of, can you walk down the street here in town?
I know. It's changed, of course, on the field and stuff, and the success I've kind of had so far is obviously that changes automatically. But I'm the same Conor that left here, how many years ago. It was love coming back, love going out for food with friends and family, and just spending time at home. I love coming home. So from that point of view, it hasn't changed too much. It's just that the kind of success in on the field is the only thing that's changed, really.
Brilliant. No, Conor, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on your success.
Cheers.
Best luck for the season ahead, both with Villa and Ireland. Obviously, I think I speak for everyone in West Cork. We're so proud of you.
Thank
you
you.
put
Cheers.
West Cork soccer on the map, you put West Cork sport on the map, so best of luck.
Cheers, thank you. Cheers.
Stuff.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. And Kieran, before we hear from West Cork ladies football manager Brian McCarthy, the Cork senior men's footballers were handed what some are calling a favourable draw in the round 4 qualifiers this morning. They've been drawn to play Laois, and based on reports from the Laois Offaly game on Saturday, I don't think it's going to be as easy as some seem to be suggesting, Kieran.
No, I think it could be a tricky enough game for Cork, and to be fair to both Cork and Laois, it's probably the draw that both counties wanted, because Cork have avoided Tyrone, Mayo and Clare. So if Cork could have handpicked the draw, they'd have gone for Laois. But I'd say at the same time, if Laois could have handpicked any opponent, they probably would have gone for Cork as well. So probably both counties are happy with the draw. Laois lost in the Leinster semi-final to Meath, and then they went into the qualifiers, and they beat Derry first, and then they did a 5-point win against Offaly last week. So it's the usual kind of conundrum for a losing provincial finalist. They're coming up against a team that's after building up a little bit of momentum coming through the qualifiers. So this Laois team now has 2 wins under their belt in the last 2 games, so confidence will be high, and they'll fancy their chances against Cork. Like I just said, Cork will fancy their chances too, but it's so important now that Cork get another performance. I know Ronan McCarthy, the Cork boss, said before that he doesn't deal with moral victories, but there were a lot of positives to take from the loss to Kerry in the Munster final. But they really need to build on that again, and they really have to drive on, because if Cork lose to Laois on Saturday, then their season is over. And in a way, and it seems almost cruel, but it's almost back to square one. All their good work the last couple of games against Limerick and Kerry will be undone, especially now when it's seen as such a great opportunity to get to the Super 8s. Like if Cork win on Saturday in Thurles, 5 p.m. throw-in, then they're through to the Super 8s, and they're playing Dublin the weekend after in Croke Park. So huge prize on offer, Jack. Kind of 3 games at the highest level possible against Dublin, against Connacht champions Roscommon, and against the winners of Tyrone and Cavan. So for this Cork team's development and for them to progress and get better, they need to get into the Super 8s, and they have a great chance. Yeah,
and just to reiterate what Kieran said there in relation to the timing and the venue, throw-in is at 5 p.m. in Semple Stadium on Thurles this Saturday evening, so should be a decent crowd at this game. Laois usually travel in serious numbers, and Thurles isn't too tough to reach. And based on how the crowd reacted at the final whistle in the Munster final, there was a sense of we're all in this together. So if a good crowd turns up in Thurles on Saturday and Cork follow up with a good performance and beat Laois, there's real momentum being built there.
Exactly. Kind of, I suppose the one thing there, Jack, is that the Cork footballers, they're not known for having a great following, and the Cork hurlers are out on Sunday against Westmeath in their Ireland Hurling Championship. That game was up in Mullingar. I could see some people online earlier kind of saying that they should have made it a double header and so on, but I don't think it was feasible. I think that Westmeath had home advantage for that game in Cusack Park, and that's a capacity of 11 or 12,000, so it wouldn't have been big enough to hold the 2 games. So hopefully a big crowd will turn out for the Cork footballers. In the last game against Kerry, at least Cork gave their fans something to hang some hope off. There was enough shoots there to suggest that there's more to come. But I have to reiterate, they need to see it home now. They need another big performance. They need to build on the positives that they showed against Kerry. They need to iron out some of the bad moments. They were quite open at the back. Kerry could have had 3 goals in the first half. They only had 1. So
Cork could have had 3 goals in the first half as well.
Yeah,
that's the flip side.
So there's just Cork need to tighten up a bit defensively. They have the forwards. We've seen that with Brian Hurley and Mark Collins going well. Rory Dean is flying. So there's a lot of positives to take into this game, and it's just touch wood the Cork footballers will do it, because it'll be such an important step in this team's development. And I keep saying those 3 games in the Super 8s they're obviously priceless, especially when you consider Cork are playing Division 3 football next year. So this is a real chance for Cork to get quality games against top opponents. Kind of doesn't get higher than Dublin, you know. So hopefully the lads will do the job on Saturday.
Yeah, and hopefully this time next week we'll be previewing Cork versus Dublin in Croke Park. A mouth-watering proposition. But thanks for now, Kieran. The West Cork ladies get their campaign underway on Thursday evening at Skibbereen's GAA grounds. And Kieran, earlier today you spoke to their manager, Brian McCarthy.
We're joined on the Star Sport Podcast by West Cork ladies manager Brian McCarthy. Thanks for coming all the way from the front office to join us in the studio here today, Brian.
Thanks, Kieran, for having me.
Just before we chat about the first game, it's the first West Cork game in this year's Ladies Senior Football Championship is this Thursday night, July 4th in Skibbereen at 8 p.m. I think we have to talk first, Brian, about there was uncertainty about the West Cork ladies team. Let's go back even 4 or 6 weeks ago, where it looked at maybe this team wouldn't be involved in the Senior Football Championship this year. Thankfully, I think common sense prevailed, and the West Cork team is going to line out this year. But that's very important that there is an outlet here in West Cork for the junior and intermediate players that chance to play senior football.
Yeah, initially I suppose there was concern. There was great concern actually in West Cork that we wouldn't have a team in the championship this year. I think, as you say, the board and the delegates above at that meeting saw sense and saw the benefit of having a divisional team within the championship. So much so that actually the conversation reversed and says, well, why don't we have more divisions in the senior championship? Which obviously, from my point of view, would be brilliant, more games for girls. But I think there's a bigger picture here in terms of giving girls the opportunity to play senior football who might not get the chance. To train also with Cork girls that are involved in the Cork senior squad, to train with them and then go back to their own clubs, which we think would be hopefully better players.
Yeah.
But initially give them the chance to train and play senior ladies football. We're looking to build on this for the next coming years, whoever will be in charge with them, and that's what we're looking at, because there's great work being done on the ground by clubs and also by the West Cork board in terms of development squads at 13 and 15, and for them, the girls might not know that they will reach Cork seniors, but they can see a goal with the West Cork senior ladies. So that's their problem as well.
Because even when West Cork kicked off, I think it was 2016 was the first year, there was divisions that year. You had North Cork, East Cork, Bear, is it Bear, right? Bear and West Cork. So you had 4 divisions, but now it's only one. It's only the West Cork team now is senior. So
well, Bear was a club in itself.
Yeah.
You had East Cork and North Cork. Mid Cork were due to come in, but unfortunately couldn't at the time. But the very first game we played in the championship was an absolute cracker. I think you were there yourself.
Yeah.
Against North Cork, where you're coming up against the likes of Breed at the time, who was playing with North Cork division. Then you had Deirdre Riley, who was there, Chloe Collins, Drumtariff, to name just a few. And look, at the end of the day, it is something that the girls who've been there since day one will always recognise was the game that started us off, because I suppose we were lucky to come over with a win. We did, and we gained momentum from that year on year. And look, everybody says to us that it was such a huge pick. I would be saying that clubs within Cork as well also have a huge pick. To try and get a divisional team together and to work with clubs can be quite hard. As we say, the male counterparts in Carbery would know this as well. However, because of the meeting and because of the uncertainty, we are at least 6 to 8 weeks behind where we should be. So we're going into the Vals game pretty cold in terms of preparation. But look, certainly looking forward to the game. Met the girls recently and have to say the spirit and the atmosphere is very, very good. We're missing quite a few from last year. We've gained a few, but again, it's trying to gel them on the day to play side football that will suit us against, at the end of the day, one of the most respected and powerful clubs in Cork, and that's St. Vals.
Like you said, trying to gel on the day, and you touched on it too, with divisional teams, logistically it's so hard to get so many different players from all the different clubs in together, even to train, not to mind for challenge games. And is that the hardest part of being manager of a divisional team, just trying to coordinate everything and bring everything together?
Well, I suppose this year, I know Bailey's there and myself since day one, so I suppose we're used to it. James O'Mahony from O'Donnell Ross has joined us this year, which we're delighted with. There's no question about that. I think James is now seeing the realisation of how it can be so tough to get girls together. We recently had a challenge game which we had, 20 girls at, and we were missing a few more, but look, the benefit of that was we just got girls together. We accept that clubs will naturally come first. Yeah. We're trying to work within that their time frame as well as their club games, but also trying to give girls a chance to play senior football with West Cork. And yeah, it is very, very tough. I suppose you do get used to it. I suppose 2 years ago we were in the same situation where I believe we had 78 girls on the Cork senior panel. This year we have, I think it's 9, I believe. And again, with respect, will we see him this year? We might see him for games. I don't expect him to train with us to a certain degree. I would expect him to turn up and be as what word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? Come on. Be as active as usual. Yeah. However, I think you've got to work with him as much as you possibly can. But that's divisional football. We're used to notice this. So we'll get on with it. I think people on the outside looking in think with such a fine panel, strong panel in numbers and quality. And yes, I wouldn't argue with that. We should, on the day, if we can put it together, we're as good as anything that's out there. And come up against anything. Obviously, Mourne with their squad and the recent signing Noel Healy would be favourites again this year, but favourites are there to be beaten.
Before we look at the Vans game, just to check out the target for West Cork this year. Last year you were beaten county finalist, took Mourne Abbey to a replay, and it's worth pointing out that Mourne Abbey team went on to win Munster and All-Ireland titles, so West Cork were probably the only team that actually took Mourne Abbey to a replay last year. The 2 years before that you were semi-finalists, so consider the talent that is there too. Like you said, there's 9 Cork seniors there, from Martin O'Brien, Niamh Cotter, Emma Spillane from Bantry Blues is in there, Anya Terry O'Sullivan, Claire O'Shea, the 2 Kylies, Melissa Duggan. It's phenomenal talent you can call them, Brian. So is the county the target this year?
If you ask the girls this, and even ourselves, we've always said from day one that the target is the very first game. Yeah. Yes, we got to a county final last year, and look, great experience for the girls, and I think what that has done has made the hunger even greater. But I think we have a set of girls that, particularly the Cork girls, who know, they have true experience, they know that they're looking at Munster and Ireland, but they know if they don't win the first game, they've been up in trouble. And they've brought that into the setup within West Cork, as well as ourselves. We've always said that the first game is the most important game. Win that, move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. And we've always done that for the last 3 years, and we continue to do that. Yes, it would be great to get to another final, and whoever's there against us, fantastic, we'll enjoy the day, and we'll go to look to win it. But initially, I gotta be honest, we're not looking past St. Val's. Very proud, very powerful club, great players involved in that club. We would talk about our panel of players. You're looking at Breach Cochran, Breach Stack, Kieran McCarthy, Kieran Hughes, as well as others within that, Vera Foley, all playing with St. Val's. And again, we'll refer back to 2 years ago where we played them in the semi-final in Macroom. And we had a powerful squad that day, and they beat us by 3 points. So those things stick with us quite a bit, and stick with the girls. So on Thursday night, definitely the leaders within the squad will be talking to the other girls, whether they're Cork seniors or the rest of the squad, saying, this is St. Val's, lads, we're in for a huge challenge here on Thursday night.
You were saying there too, Brian, it's important to get off to a winning start. Would you consider the group that West Cork are in the County Senior Football Championship? There's 2 groups of 4 teams, and in Group 1 is West Cork, St. Val's, Mourne Abbey and Éire Óg. Like, that's a loaded group. So, and especially with Mourne Abbey to come down the road, and an Éire Óg team that's improving under John Cleary. How important is it to get off to a winning start at home to St. Val's? And it's fantastic to see the game here in Skibbereen, so you kind of want to make the most of home advantage too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. I think you gather momentum. I would be hopeful that we will put in a good performance. I think, again, as you say, bring it down to Skibbereen. As we don't have a pitch of road, we try to utilise clubs within that are involved in the squad, and Skibbereen is one of those. Again, Skibbereen being one of the strong ladies clubs, up and coming, really some great talent that's there. So we think for West Cork, for the game itself, to broaden horizons, Skibbereen is a good central base, because youth girls coming from Castletownbere, which we do, as well as coming from Shannon, Skibbereen will be a good central base. So we're delighted to have this. Other than Ross have offered their facilities, and yeah, it's very, very important to get off to a good start. And St. Vaz will recognise that fact as well. So I think whoever turns up, and we're hoping that we'll get a good local support from the clubs around it. They're in for a cracking game. I do believe that. Yeah.
On a personal note, Brian, I know I was hounding you for months to find out whether you're coming back with West Cork or not. You're back now for a fourth year. Why? Why is it a group you just couldn't leave, or what keeps bringing you back to this group?
It's a challenge. I think, for me, when you come up as a manager or a coach or the management team that's involved, right, and you're on the side and you want us to know the team that you believe that can play football at the highest level within the county, but you're also challenging yourself and the management team against the opposite management team. And when you're coming up against the likes of Shane Ronayne, John Cleary, just to name a few, you're coming up against some of the best coaches in Ireland, Armagh and Cork, and I have great respect for the opposite coaches that are there, because they'll challenge you on the opposite end with their team to say, right, we're going to throw this at you, we're going to throw that at you. So you've got to counteract that with your group of girls, or your teammates. And that's the challenge for me. Yes, I was very, very close to saying, normally I stay with a club team or a team 3 years, and I say enough is enough, but luckily some of the girls, they came back and let's have one more crack at it and see how far it takes us. And it is a hard group to go away from, because they are very much involved in it. I think Anna O'Grady, who's been there since day one, is phenomenal behind the scenes. And then, with James O'Mahony, he's a new voice this year. Ian Wright did fantastic work with us the last 3 years. So look, you're trying to keep it going, so whoever comes in, whether it's next year or the year after, has a solid foundation. That was one of the objectives of starting this, that you have a solid foundation to work off of. And we do believe that, so look, we're going to enjoy it. And that's the enjoyable part of it, is that you have to be able to enjoy coming up against these challenges. And look, we look forward to meeting St. Vaz, we look forward to meeting Air Oak, who gave us a ferocious game last year over Nahiol, one of the hardest games all year, where we were actually lucky to come out of it. John Cleary's team did a phenomenal job for John and Tom Scally. And then you're coming up against Shane Ronayne and Mourneabbey, which you want to do. That's the challenge of Gaelic football.
I love watching, covering ladies football games, and I think more and more people, if they can actually hit along to a ladies game just to watch it, they'll actually be blown away by the skill level, even the intensity, the pace of the game. So hopefully a big crowd will go along to Skibbereen on this Thursday night, because to have a senior championship game in Skibbereen and against two of the best teams in the county, Brian, you hope that more people will just turn out to just to watch the game, watch the quality and skill levels of the players on show. And what is it for you about the game? Like what makes ladies football so enjoyable to coach and so good to watch?
I think for me, you're walking into a dressing room where you have a group of girls who are challenge you to become a better coach. That's number one for me. Number two, I think, as a supporter of ladies football, I think you're looking at a game which, at the moment, is not as cynical as men's football.
Yeah.
Now, I would say this, that the way the game is going, you can see that it's getting more physical.
Yeah.
All right, and we totally accept that that's the way the game. You see more teams that are using strength and conditioning coaches. I think that was a huge help to Mourneabbey last year, and I think other clubs will follow that route towards success. However, at the end of the day, I think when people come along, they say to me, it was a ladies' game, and the speed, they could not get over the speed of thought, speed of player, and also the skill set of the players, which is very, very good. That's great credit to the clubs, as well as the development that's going on within clubs. Like, so it's enjoyable when you win.
Yeah.
When you don't win, when you don't win, you obviously are disappointed. However, it's a great game to watch when it really is flowing. And I think next Thursday night, I think it'll be exactly the same as the previous battles we've had with St. Vaz, where it's been nip and tuck. There's only been a kick of a ball between the two teams. I think we'll see exactly the same thing. They're a very proud club, and luckily enough, we have a very proud set of girls who, like I said earlier, the hunger that they had at getting to the final last year is still there. You can see it. They're texting each other, they're on each other to say, look, we got to get this together and look at Thursday night and get over Thursday night and move on to the next one.
I'd urge anyone around West Cork on Thursday night to pop along to Skibbereen. That's 8 o'clock for West Cork against St. Vals. It's a game where you're going to have some of Cork's finest current players, some legends of the past, some of the up and comers of the future. Like it's fantastic that this game is here in the heart of West Cork. So anyone listen to this podcast again, 8 o'clock, Skibbereen, this Thursday night, July 4th. That's West Cork against St. Vals in their first game in the County Senior Championship. Brian, thanks for coming along and best of luck for the season ahead.
Thanks a million. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, number 1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast. And Kieran, we've mentioned Cork's crunch round 4 qualifier clash with Laois and the West Cork ladies getting their season up and running this week. But what else can we look forward to in Thursday's Star Sport section?
It's getting very busy now, Jack, to be fair. Kind of the inter-county scene and the club scene kind of kicked back into action the weekend just gone as well. It's worth noting that we have a full page on the Carbery Muskerry Senior Camogie Championship preliminary round game. So it's great to see Carbery get off to a winning start. They beat Muskerry there, and it's quite a strong Carbery team this year with the likes of Orla Cronin and Libby Coppinger and so on. So fantastic start for the Carbery Senior Camogie team, and we have reaction from goalkeeper Emer White from Barry Rowe. Also sticking to ladies GAA, Cork won the Munster Under-21 final last weekend against Kerry with Ross Garbury's Sarah Hayes captaining the Rebels. So we've reaction and a match report from that game and an interview with Sarah Hayes. We also have an interview with Island Rovers' Peter Driscoll, who's a Cork Under-20, and the Cork Under-20s kick off their Munster Championship campaign next week. So Dennis Hurley sat down with Peter to get his thoughts about the Cork Under-20s and Island Rovers as well, because Island have been going great guns at the moment and they won promotion there from Division 3 of the County League. There's loads in the check. Another one to pick out is Phil Healy, our current West Cork Sports Star of the Year. Phil is competing in the World University Championships in Naples next week, and she had been targeting this for the last 2 years, Jack, but her plans were disrupted. 10 weeks ago she broke her foot. She was in Naples on a warm weather. She was in Malta on a warm weather training camp, walking down the cobbled steps in the old town in Valletta, twisted her ankle and she fractured a metatarsal. So it kind of threw her preparations into disarray.
Very uneven surfaces in the old town of Valletta.
The old towns anywhere, I'd say, in across kind of continental Europe, kind of you could easily do an ankle, and that happened to Phil. So at one point it was even looking unlikely that she would compete, but in fairness to her, she actually healed, and it doesn't surprise when you consider she's Ireland's fastest woman, but she healed quicker than doctors even anticipated. So she did stay off her feet. There was anti-gravity treadmills, she was in a boot, and she's back now training. So we did a good chat with Phil just about her expectations going into the World University Championships, and when you're dealing with a sporting woman who kind of sets her sights really high to be heading into these championships and not being in the form that she wanted to be in or she hoped to be in, for her to kind of readjust her targets is quite an interesting read. So we've that and a lot more in the Star this week, Jack.
And if you can't get to your local news agent or supermarket or wherever you usually buy your newspapers, you can still read the Southern Star online for less than €2 a week by just logging on to www.southernstar.ie/e-paper. So log on and subscribe.
We've got a question in this week, Jack. You've got to send in your questions to Star Sport Podcast on a postcard, please, to Star Sport Podcast, the Southern Star, Island Street, Skibbereen. And it says, Jack, I hear you're coaching boxing. What's the one tip you'd give to all beginners? Just for those who don't know, Jack is a multi-talented sports person. Not only is he a soccer player at Baltimore, is he a hurler with O'Donovan Rossa, but he also boxes locally with Island River Boxing Club based in Skibbereen. So,
well, I think before I go any further, I think multi-talented might be a stretch too far. I take part in many sports, but I've never been the star of any team in my life, unfortunately.
Don't write yourself down, Jack.
But what I would say to anyone thinking about boxing, to our male listeners, I'd probably suggest always wear a cup. The last thing you want to do is crouch down low when trying to avoid a body shot, and the right hook lands where the sun don't shine. So is that?
No, that'll do.
Wear a cup.
Words of wisdom. Wear a cup. So now here we go. I'm going to try and get this right for the first time in 21 weeks.
And there's an added word in there this week as well.
So this is the final line. Each week I can never read this properly. So this is take 21. So here we go. Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week. If you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, Stitcher or wherever else you listen to the show. That wasn't bad. Got it. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Star Sports Podcast. Don't forget to pick up this week's Southern Star, featuring our award-winning sports section that has everything a sports fan in West Cork could want. Available every Thursday in shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world. The Southern Star, #1 for sport in West Cork.